Hey folks, Pete Werner here, doing the first of what I hope will be many Q&A videos on today's episode of the Dizz Unplugged. Well, it's today when I'm recording this, but who knows when you're watching it. But on today's episode of the Dizz Unplugged, I mentioned that I was thinking about doing some Q&A shows and folks should send in their questions. You're very good at taking directions. That's all I'm going to say. Got quite a few of them. So this one I thought was a good one to start with. And if I'm looking away from the camera, it's only so I can look at my monitor because I don't memorize these questions. But this is from Laura McDill. First of all, great idea to do a Q&A. Thank you. Been wanting this. Been following you guys for about 2 years. Love the content, but I'm so confused about your story. Right there with you. Can you give a brief story about your organization, your origination with Dreams Unlimited and the Dizz Unplugged? This is what I've pieced together so far. Laura's a little bit of a detective. Your first Disney trip was as an adult. That is correct. I was, 28, 27, 28. I'm 29 now. Don't get into my psychosis. The partner you had when you moved is not the one you are with today. That's absolutely right. When I moved here, John and I were together, and today I am currently between husbands, but I am accepting applications. At one time, you and John were together. Did you start Dreams Unlimited Travel together? Yes, we did. Did you start Dizz Unplugged in New Jersey? No. I started Dizz Unplugged in 2006. So let me do this a little differently. So yes, I came to Florida for the first time in my mid to late 20s. It's my first time going to Disney World. I'd always wanted to as a kid. My parents couldn't afford it. And I really think that's one of the reasons I'm so, I don't know, maybe aggressive when it comes to some of the things Disney does, because I know what it's like to want to come here and not being able to afford it. And if you're going to spend all that money, there's a certain expectation about the experience you should have. But I don't want to go off on a tangent with that. And I got to come down for a business trip, actually. I was working for a government contractor in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. And there was a conference going on down here for a software company that I was, learning how to use their software. And I had one day to go into the parks. And it was Epcot was my first park. And I've mentioned this many, many times. I am a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. And I was very early in my recovery, maybe about a year and a half at that point. And I remember walking around Epcot and saying, okay, this is what I did drugs to feel like. It's perfect. It's clean. Everybody's happy. It's magical. Everything's larger than life. This is what I got high for. And wow, I can come here and get this feeling and not get high. So I was hooked. Okay. I mean, I'm a typical addict. There's no 5 on the dial. It's 0 or 12. And clearly Disney inspired me to go to 12. And that was my first trip. And ever since that first trip, I had 2 modes. I was either in Disney or planning to go to Disney. There was nothing else. There was never a point prior to moving here where I didn't have a trip planned, at least 1, if not 2. And then in 1997, because of an unrelated project I was assigned, I was working for UPS in Morristown in their IT division, Morristown, New Jersey. And because of a project I got assigned, I needed to learn web development. So I built a little website for myself, which was the Dizz. Now, the official birth date of the Dizz is June 1st, 1997. Technically, it was like May 25th, but I just rounded up. And it was shortly thereafter, the following April, that John had gotten a job working for Disney, and we moved down here. And so that was in 98. And so I was trying to make a business out of this, and came up with the idea in early 99 for a travel agency that specialized in Disney vacations. We were the first. We were the first that did our business model, which was you get assigned an agent. The agent works with you to build an itinerary, makes your reservations. We do the discount checking after you book. So after you book, and this was unheard of in the travel industry before we started. And I got lambasted by travel agents when we announced this is what we were going to do. That after you booked, if we found a better price, if we found a discount, we were going to convert you to that discount. And you weren't going to have to ask us. And that was, I can remember how we got harpooned by travel agents. 3 or 4 years later, they were all asking me for a job. So, and then it was 2006. Was it 2000? Yeah, 2006. We started doing the Dizz Unplugged. And so this year is 15 years. Right? Yeah, I think I've got that right. It all jumbles together. So you have trouble keeping track of it, so do I. Don't feel bad. At what point and how did you meet up and work with Bob Varley? Bob was one of the moderators on DizzBoards.com. And right after I moved here, Bob was coming down and wanted to meet and have dinner. And I'll never forget it. The restaurant at the time, what is now Il Molino in the Swan, used to be a restaurant called Palio. And it was one of my favorite restaurants. And Bob and I went to have dinner in Palio. And Bob came with, it was like a luggage cart, but instead of holding luggage, it had a milk crate that was filled with files and papers. And he's literally wheeling this into the Swan. I'm like, oh my God, this man's insane. And we sat at dinner, and he proceeded to pull papers out of this milk carton with papers and all these ideas that he'd been working on, and things that we could do on the site, and things we could do on the boards, and things we could do with dreams. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, he's like a little crazy. But at the same time, there was just something about him that was so endearing. And truthfully, some of his ideas were just fantastic. One of them, by the way, was about doing a show. Bob had done a cable access show in Massachusetts, and he knew that the web would be perfect for that kind of show. That this topic, Disney, because that's what he did in Massachusetts. It was the world of Mickey, they called it. And somewhere we have a link for that. I digitized that and put it up. So I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes. But and it wasn't too long after that, Bob moved down here. He was one of the first agents with Dreams Unlimited. And he kept pushing me about doing a show. And then we finally started the podcast. And of course, he passed away in 2008. Yeah, so that's why the studio is named for him. It was only fitting the studio be named the Bob Varley Studio, because I don't know that I don't know that I ever would have done a show if Bob hadn't pushed it. And so I always like to think that every show that comes out of the studio is kind of Bob's legacy, part of Bob's legacy. So that's kind of that. And then, of course, obviously we've expanded shows over the years. We've added a lot of shows. We're making a lot of changes this year. Created a lot of different channels because the Dizz Unplugged channel was just getting too crowded. And then I realized after I moved all the shows onto their own channels that we didn't have enough content on the Dizz Unplugged channel. So here I am answering questions for you nice folks. So thank you for that, Laura. Okay, next question comes from John. I had a question probably better suited for the DVC fan show than the Q&A, but here it is. I'll take any questions, doesn't matter. I am currently a Bay Lake Tower Blue Card DVC member. Blue Card means he bought direct from Disney, and that means you get a blue membership card, which enables you to have all of the perks of a DVC member. If you only buy resale, you get a white card, and you are limited in the perks that you get. So what a lot of people do is they'll buy the minimum number of points directly to get the blue card, and then they buy everything else resale. That's exactly what I did. I'm currently a Bay Lake Tower Blue Card DVC member with add-on-itis. Add-on-itis is an affliction that sets in after you buy DVC and you start shopping around and you start seeing all these add-on contracts and you just want more points. Nobody ever buys enough points when they start. Never. Maybe some, but mostly no. Talk me out of my paranoia to buy direct when I know I can save money on resale. Thanks for the content you provide. I will definitely be using Dreams for my future cruises. Okay. John, your paranoia about buying direct, I'm not sure what that is. So it's really hard to say. There is no reason, if you already have the blue card from your direct membership, there really is no reason to buy additional points directly. Not when it's so much cheaper via resale. And come on, it's ridiculously less expensive to buy resale. I mean, you can buy Boulder Ridge. I picked up a Boulder Ridge contract for $89 a point. You're over $200 a point if you buy direct. And you're not getting anything for that price difference. Your initial contract, okay. I mean, I understand you wanting the blue card, and we all want to be in the club and all that stuff. I get that. I really do. But once you're in, I mean, you get nothing. So we're talking potentially, depending on the resort you're looking at, you're talking potentially the difference of $100 a point or more. And there's no difference between the contract you're going to buy resale and the points you're going to get buying direct? None. So it just doesn't make any sense. To me, it doesn't make any sense. I don't judge anybody for how they choose to manage their membership, to add on to their membership. I don't think, it's up to every individual. So I'm just speaking for myself. All I wanted was the blue card. At that point, I just had to buy 75 points. I think it's 100 points now to get the blue card. And even that, I got to be honest with you, I don't know if the perks are worth it. But, we all want to be in the club. So I get that. But as far as adding on points go, I think it's just pissing away. You're pissing away good money. So, but thank you. Thank you for the question. Let's see what else we have here. Wow. Okay, this is from Joshua. What is the worst thing Disney has ever done to piss you off? Has anything ever come close to deterring you from going anymore? Not trying to be negative, but with all the recent cuts, I think it would be nice to look back and see sometimes where it may have been worse, if even for a week. And let's be real, we all love a good Pete rant. Well, again, you got one from me at about 1:05 p.m. this afternoon. It's now 8 o'clock, and Daddy's a little tired. So you're not going to get another rant out of me today. But it's the worst thing Disney's ever done to piss me off. You see, it's hard to say because, as a guest or as an owner in a travel agency that works with them. Because those are, you know what, I'll stay away from that. I don't need, I'm going to stay, and I'll tell you why I'm going to stay away from talking about the travel agency. Walt Disney Travel Company has been so good to us this year in this pandemic. Honestly, they've been so good to us and so responsive to us and worked so hard for us. I'm for now, we're not going to tell any tales out of school. I could though, but I'm not going to. I got to be honest. It's an interesting question because at first, and again, I'm not reading these in advance, right? Again, I'm really trying to go more authentic with this stuff and not script it out. But the fact that nothing specific comes to mind really goes to the point you're making here. With all the recent cuts, I think it would be nice to look back and see sometimes where it may have been worse even for a week. And how are we going to feel about this stuff a year or 2 or 5 or 10 from now? Has it ever come close to deterring me from going anymore? No. But again, I live here, right? I'm hopping my car right now and I can be on property in under a half an hour. I don't have to take time off from work. I don't have to navigate airports, hotels, or anything else. It's like, I feel like going tonight. So you get in the car and you go. And I think we can all relate to being in a relationship where we get into an argument. And in the moment, we're like, I can't stand you. I never want to look at you again. Only to feel very differently the next morning. Or if you're me, like the next month. But Um, so it is a different experience for me. It's also tied to what I do for a living. So I try and be mindful of the fact that my experience is very different from my audience's. But what I'm concerned about with these cuts that they've announced is that they are... See, and this is the stuff that sucks for me to say when I own a travel agency that sells Disney travel. But these resorts don't stand up to the competition without the perks. Let's just be honest. Not when you have a Waldorf Astoria, the Hilton Bonnet Creek, a JW Marriott, a Grand Hyatt, a Four Seasons. And that's by no means an exhaustive list of great hotels in and around the area. But I just think that they've gotten so high on their own success for so many years, they just don't think that doesn't matter what they do. The single worst decision, and I think this is going to be borne out 5 years from now. So look, let's talk again January of 2026. I had to stop and think what year it was because they all roll together after a while, don't they? I think the single worst decision this company made was making Bob Chapek the CEO. I think he's a sorry excuse for a CEO. I can't even say he's a poor man's Bob Iger. But this company you would have I would have thought that the pandemic would have beat the arrogance out of him, but apparently it hasn't. And I think they're going to find the recovery looks very different than pre-pandemic looked for them. I think they might have a good year next year with the 50th anniversary. But as it was, the price of everything was really eliminating a lot of families from being able to afford to go. The pandemic has created a new mindset around crowds. If anybody thinks that any of us are going to be comfortable in unmasked crowds anytime in the near future, you're wrong. I think most of us will be very uncomfortable regardless of how far past COVID we get. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And like I said on the show today, you keep taking and taking and taking. You're not putting anything back. You're not showing us what the perks are. Because I'll tell you what, it's getting harder and harder for me to tell people it's worth it. And that sucks when one of my jobs is a travel agency. It specializes in Disney. So, really and truly, talk to me in 5 years. Hell, talk to me next year. Talk to me next January. Let's see where we are. But thought-provoking question, Joshua. Thank you. Okay, so question from Tammy. Do you think Disney is still going to offer transportation to the Cape once cruise lines start sailing again? It would be a real slap in the face to folks paying such a large amount of money, sometimes triple the cost of other cruises, only to be told, sorry, find your own way there, especially if they are staying on Disney property. I understand still paying the $35 transfer fee or whatever it was pre-COVID, but I think ending the service would be a horrible financial move on their part. What you need to remember, Tammy, is that these are all separate business units. Walt Disney World is its own business unit. Disney Cruise Line is a separate business unit. Yes, they all are all under the same company, but they're all run as individual businesses. And part of the reason for that is they all have individual needs. What Walt Disney World needs and what Disney Cruise Line needs are two entirely different things. And since the model of cruise line transportation is based on charging for it, I don't think we're going to see that go away anytime soon. It is too critical that they are seamlessly able to get people from the resorts or the airport, for that matter, to the to Port Canaveral. It's too critical, and especially when you consider the disaster it is for everyone involved. When someone doesn't make the ship, that's a paperwork nightmare for them, and it's a huge nightmare for the guest. So providing seamless transportation is a very important part of their operation. I would be stunned if they discontinued that. I think you can expect to see the price of it go up. I think when cruise line resumes, whenever that's going to be, when cruise line does resume, that we are obviously going to have social distancing guidelines in place. They will not be able to fill those buses at the same level that they had been before. That means it's going to cost them more to operate each one of those buses. And of course, that cost is going to get passed on. Now, what it goes to remains to be seen. But I would be stunned if they canceled that. Then again, I'm pretty stunned they just pulled Magical Express. But who knows? But I'm going to be honest with you. All these cuts, I think Chapek is off in a dark corner touching himself. I think he's wanted this for a long time. It's one of my favorite things. Naming him Dr. Evil. This is from Janet in the UK. With the vaccine now being rolled out, how soon do you think the borders will be open to the UK visitors? We have our DVC vacation booked for August 2021, and we'll need to make a decision to bank the points by March. Last year we lost out and ended up with using our RCI. Well, I know today we announced that all international travelers coming into the United States are going to have proof of a negative COVID test within 72 hours of traveling. I think it was. I don't remember specifically, but we're now doing that. So I don't know. You know what? That's really the answer. No, we don't. Nobody knows. Nobody knows who. Look, we are coming up on a year. Now, last March, did anybody think that we'd be sitting here almost a year later talking about this? No. Now, with the vaccine being rolled out, I'm hoping, but it's going to take a long time under the best set of circumstances to get enough people inoculated that it really changes the trajectory of this pandemic. But and with the new variant being present here in the United States, but as well in the United Kingdom, I'm going to tell you what. This is my suggestion to you. If the borders haven't opened to you by the time your banking window is getting ready to close, bank the points. Bank the points. Just do it. Just do it. Don't lose them. Don't lose them. Or rent them out through our friends at dvcrentalstore.com. I was not going to miss the chance to plug that. Rent them out through that, take the money, and then use the money for a cash trip when the border's open. That's another option as well. I'm going to tell you what, I'm anxious to see it too, because England is my favorite place on earth, second only to Walt Disney World and Disney Cruise Line and Disneyland Paris and Hawaii. I love England, right? I love London. And I literally 2 nights ago had this dream that I was in London. And it was one of those dreams where when I woke up, it took me a second to realize I wasn't. And I was so upset. I was so upset. Dying to come back to London. I got so many friends in the UK. I'm just dying to come back. So for as anxious as you are to come here, I'm that anxious to come there and see you guys. So fingers crossed, sooner rather than later. All right, for this round, I'm going to take one more because I am tired. You people exhaust me. I'm kidding. Not really. Yes, I am. Let's see. Some of you guys are asking me questions like, when are the live shows coming back? I have no earthly idea. Okay, when questions are in 5 parts, I'll save it for... I'm not deleting anything, but I'll save it for another show. Okay. So a lot of you folks are asking for my recommendations for hotels off property. I would strongly recommend you look into the Swan and Dolphin. Beautiful hotels. Physically on property, not owned by Disney. And oftentimes you can get a really, really good rate. Also, Buena Vista Suites and Caribe Royale are 2 hotels that I particularly... we're not in business with them anymore. Not because anything happened. It just... we're not. But Buena Vista Suites, really, I mean, you can get a room there, and they're mini suites. So you have a living room area, a little dining area, and a bedroom. You can also get 2 bedroom suites there. But I mean, they were always like $89, $99 a night. And a lot of times it comes with a free continental breakfast in their restaurant. They also have a halfway decent restaurant there. Caribe Royale is gorgeous. The rooms are gorgeous, a little more expensive. It's a sister hotel to Buena Vista Suites, little more expensive than Buena Vista Suites, but this hotel's got curb appeal. You walk in the lobby, you're like, okay, this is nice. Beautiful, beautiful hotel. So those are two I would look at. But I would also consider looking at vacation homes. I think vacation homes are going to be the thing post-apocalypse. I think people are going to be really more interested in having their own space. And I hate sounding like an advertisement all the time, but one of the things that we're doing as part of moving to Orlando, our real estate business that I co-own with Sean Falk, people that are buying rental properties through us, we are going to be promoting them and advertising them on the Dizz, on the Moving to Orlando website, and the Dizz mailer. And so I'm just throwing that out there. But there's one we just put up that has some amazing themed rooms. What was it? Hold on, I'm going to find it. magicalhideout.com. We sold them this house through Moving to Orlando. And then Sean found this incredible designer who worked for Universal Creative. And this woman came in and did like a Harry Potter themed room and a Minions themed room. It's absolutely adorable. This house is located in the Reunion resort area of Kissimmee, which in and of itself is absolutely beautiful. So just head over. You can head over to, Magical Hideout, right? Is that what I said it was? magicalhideout.com and check that out. And that price, she's got, and this place will sleep like 12 people. It's like 5 or 6 bedrooms. It's huge. It's absolutely gorgeous though. They did a really, really nice job with it. So I think those are some solutions for staying off property that are really reasonably priced. It's a house, so you can cook, right? I know that's what everybody's dream when they go on vacation is to cook. But also, a lot of these vacation homes, if you have a larger family or if you're traveling with another family, it makes it's less expensive and it's easier to share that expense. And especially folks coming from the UK. I mean, they've been in. The folks in the UK have been in on this trick for years because they come and they spend like 6 months here. Not really, but they spend a lot of time here on vacation. And so this is a lot more reasonable option. So you're going to hear us talk more about that, in part because I think it's a good idea, but also in part because of moving to Orlando, and I'm going to promote. It's what I do. Never going to put you in a bad place, though. But yeah, so those are some options. We will do a much more in-depth show on staying off-site and ways to get the most out of it. Because there are even ways to get some of the Disney perks of staying on-site at off-site hotels that we can talk about. But all right, that is going to do it for this. See how this goes. If you guys like it, maybe I'll do more of them, but it's always nice to do this. I do think I want to do one of these live, though. This is okay. I like the energy, though, of a live one, so maybe the next one I'll do live. Or maybe I won't. I'm unpredictable. I haven't said it in a while. Thank you guys so much for your support. And I'm not just talking about, Booking with Dreams or supporting our sponsors. Your comments, your emails, your private messages, your stuff on social. A lot of you write and you say, you guys have really helped get us through this pandemic. Well, right back at you, man. without you guys, extraordinarily grateful. Extraordinarily grateful. So, haven't said it in a while, and I'm moved to say it now. Thank you. Thank you. Until next time.